Welcome to Mock Draft Live. And oh my gosh, Tyler Knable's here. Tyler Football. I'm so excited to be doing my first podcast with Tyler Football. How you doing
Yeah,
tonight, Tyler? You ready to draft some underdog?
I'm always ready to draft some underdog. I like how the Podfather just gave me that nickname, just Tyler Football. I feel like Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. So
Yeah, a
I don't know.
little,
I feel like I
money.
feel like I kind of needed to do some more to earn that nickname, but hopefully we win 150,000 tonight, and then then you can call me Tyler Football. So
There we go. There we go. So if you aren't familiar with what we're doing, we are going to be drafting a best ball team on Underdog, the puppy, right? Is that what we're doing, the puppy?
yeah, puppy too.
All right. So if you want to go join us,
All right,
go over to Underdog Fantasy right now and click on the puppy and join us there. So I just gotta I gotta do this, don't I? There we go. There we go. So we're in. We're waiting for 3 people. And man, these things fill really quick, don't they?
Oh, they do. Yeah, like we're already in. Yeah, the thing about the puppy too is this is the first puppy where if you look at the payout structure, looks like we got pick 8 here. The payout structure, they have a regular season for the puppy now too, which they normally just don't do. Oh, I think BBM4 is the only thing they've done it for. So this is the first time there's actually a regular season prize pool for the regular season. So, but it's only the top 10. Or no, it's the top 100. That's what it was. So only top 100 get paid for regular season points, but I mean, still 10K if you get first somehow out of 225,000. So I don't know. It's a nice little added bonus kind of for the regular season if people want to draft. If people are really trying to finish top 100 out of 200,000. So
yeah, no, that's cool. I wasn't aware of that, to be honest with you. I'm so focused on that week 14 through 17 stretch that obviously winning that prize pool would be great. Yeah. But the weeks 14 through 17 are the ones that, people like us really care about.
Yeah. Are you a week 17 truther?
I don't know if I'm a week 17 truther or not, because some of those matchups are just so random. Like we went through them on the Writers Roundtable, and yeah, some of them, like the primo matchups that we were looking at last year, some of them hit, some of them didn't. So I think it's important to look at. Obviously, that's the week that's the most important for the payouts. But I think the overall playoff weeks 14 through 17, like that's what I'm looking at. Definitely that stretch. What about yourself?
Yeah. I kind of like the week 17 thing where if you build every single one of your teams to have some sort of week 17 correlation, let's just say you get one there, like at least you're built out for it if you do it in every draft. And it's not like I'm reaching like around on ADP to get like a Cowboys Dallas or Cowboys Detroit stack or something like that. It's kind of just like as like a tiebreaker. If there's 3 wide receivers in the same range and I see a guy that correlates with, like, let's say I got Marquise Brown and then there's a Dallas Goedert sitting there. I guess it would be the other way around because I think Dallas Goedert goes first. But anyways, then I'll be like, oh, maybe I'll just take him over this other guy because they're both the same for me. I'll just use it as a tiebreaker. It's also a good way to get some exposure to guys you wouldn't normally get exposure to. It's like I don't like Mike Evans this year, but like I'll get him if I have like a New Orleans Saints or something like that. So, all right, who are we thinking here at pick 8? We got Diggs. Anyone you like specifically? I'll kind of go down to go anyone in the first round.
Do you I like Diggs, I like Eckler.
Okay.
I could be talked into all 3 of those guys at the top, but who do you like here?
I like really anyone. First round doesn't really matter to me. Let's just go Diggs.
Yeah.
I think I need more Diggs anyway, so
cool.
Let's just go with Diggs, and then there we go.
Pretty solid, safe floor pick. I mean, obviously huge upside too in that Buffalo offense tied to Josh Allen. Yeah. So not to talk about this. Well, let's talk about it. Like, we can come back to the week 14 through 17 thing. I want to ask you because before the show, I found out, oh my God, Tyler Football is a genius about these underdog drafts. So which pick position do you prefer, if at all? Like, is there one that when you get it, you're like, yes, or does it not matter for you?
I don't really like being in the middle for some reason. I just feel like I'm always like a couple picks away from getting a guy. Like I kind of like being on one end of the draft because then you can just double tap 2 guys like that you just get. Like I like a lot of range of certain guys, and for some reason being at the turn for my picks, whether it's the 1 through 3 or like 10 through 12, I just kind of like being in that Range of the turn for some reason. No, really, not like a reason for it. I just like double tapping guys. That just feels more clean to me. I don't know.
Gotcha. I do like. I'm not gonna lie. This might be an easy answer, but I'd like pick number one because then you get Jefferson. It's just so easy to stack with Cousins,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I love the NFC North too this year. I feel like a lot of those defenses are going to be average at best. Like the Lion, if you look at the Lions defense last year, I know they added a lot of pieces.
yeah.
I don't.
Vikings defense is going to be terrible this year.
Oh, it's going to be horrible. They're going to be constantly trying to score points. I think you're going to want Minnesota. Chicago's defense is still going to be terrible. So a lot of teams they play. But anyway, we're back up here. What direction are you thinking in round two?
I think it's Saquon here, or I feel like
I like Saquon.
You like Saquon?
Too.
Okay, let's just see. Let's not even overthink
okay.
it. I like Saquon just because I feel like he's at the last running back of this tier. I don't know. I feels like there's a slight drop off between Chubb and Saquon, just because I feel like Saquon has RB like top like 3 running back upside where Chubb doesn't, because he doesn't catch the passes that you obviously want him to. So I just like Saquon because I feel like he's the last guy of this tier.
I agree. I think it's a little nuts that guys like Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. I know the hype around Bijan Robinson to me is a little crazy. I'll probably have some just to get some exposure to him, but if you can get Barkley in the second round to pair with a receiver, like some of those receivers, like if you're stuck with the pick 6, 7, or 8, if you tap AJ Brown and Saquon, or like we did Stefon Diggs and Saquon, I feel like that's a fantastic start. I mean, it's hard to do better than that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm a huge Falcons fan. So like, and I don't even like to, I think Bijan's my one fade in the first round. I don't like taking Bijan in the first round just because I don't think he's going to get used like everybody thinks he is. I think he's going to be split out a lot more. So like one of my favorite picks right now in drafts, which we might have an opportunity to get him, is Tyler Allgeier. I think he's going to be used a lot more than people think he's going to be used. And he's going as like the lowest tier handcuff. Like he's going after like Jaylen Warren. Like I'd much rather have, I think Allgeier is going to finish with a lot more points than Jaylen Warren will.
Yeah, because I mean, we know that what's his face in Atlanta, that guy who likes to run the ball a lot. Think of Arthur Smith, right? We know, like, because people make this comparison. I feel like it's kind of a fault in logic. It's like, well, look at what he did with Derrick Henry. It's like, well, first of all, we're in a new age of running back since that time. Like we're in the kind of like the RBBC by running back by committee age. And Tyler Allgeier had a really good year last year. So to think that they're not going to use him at all, I think is a mistake. And that kind of, I don't know if it limits. Bijan Robinson's obviously a great player, and he's going to score a ton of fantasy points this year. But my thing is when you're comparing him to Jonathan Taylor, who got a quarterback upgrade, and Anthony Richardson and Saquon Barkley, the offenses there seem to be on the rise as well. And when you're making that comparison, to me, it's an easy pick, and I would prefer Taylor, Barkley over a guy like Bijan. But that's just, All right. But so I agree with you. I think Tyler Allgeier is going to be fine. I think he's a value right now over Bijan.
Yeah. I'm totally 100% with you. Arthur Smith gave an interview right after the draft and literally said, I don't expect him to be Derrick Henry. I wouldn't put that kind of expectation.
Bingo.
So it's like, that just screams like Bijan in the slot. Like I think we're gonna see him in the slot a lot. He's being lined up all over the place in OTAs right now. I know it's OTAs, but I feel like just the way they talk about him, they look at him as like a weapon and not just a running back. I think he's going to be lined up all over the place. And then if they still want to go like pistol like they did all last year, Allgeier's going to be that main back. All right, we're up here. We got Rhamondre still there, which seems like a good pick if we want to double tap running back right away. I don't really like Debo this year. Is there anyone you kind of like right here?
I'm good with Rhamondre if you want to go double running backs. I think either I like the running backs here a lot more than I like the wide receivers. So I think Rhamondre is fine. I for some reason I'm kind of freaked out by the Amari Cooper ADP right now. I know Deshaun Watson just kind of scares me with the year that he had last year. So I feel like that's a really risky pick. Gosh, it might sound dusty, but out of all those wide receivers, I kind of like Keenan Allen at the most at his value in that Chargers offense. That, let's face it, the Chargers are not going to be a good defensive team either, even though they've got the defensive guru and Brandon Staley, whatever. I mean,
that hasn't amounted to anything so far since he's been there.
I know. He's been it's been horrible.
Yeah.
And I know he was hurt. I think Keenan Allen played in just 10 games last year, but given those options, wide receiver versus running back, I mean, heck, like there's still, I mean, Najee Harris is still on the board. I think that's a little crazy too.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
I feel like we got to go receiver here just because these drafts, like what receivers are, they just go. I feel like if we can get Jeudy, Watson, or even Amari, just because he falls a little bit past ADP, I'm fine with either three of these guys. That's just my take on it, though. Who do you like more, Jeudy or Watson?
Oh man,
I'm just trying to see if we.
If you're making me pick a Jeudy,
I like
kind of how you have him in the queue.
I think he has a big ceiling, tall ceiling this year.
Well, yeah, especially, I mean, if the rumors were true before the draft, I mean, if they tried to move Sutton, if they're not into Sutton, I mean, Russell Wilson, at times Wilson played okay, and I think Russell Wilson's going to play better in this new system. So, and you're going to be playing against teams like the Chargers and the Chiefs. Like, we love the AFC West last year, and I love the AFC West this year because the defenses are not good. Like, the Chiefs defense is not an elite defense. I mean, it might be better this year, but the tons of shootout potential in that division too. So, yeah, out of all those options, I like Jeudy, and you're right. The wide receivers do get gobbled up in these drafts because the zero RB, everybody's like into the zero RB, which, on the game plan, they were actually on the Guillotine League episode, they were talking about like zero RBs, like where do you want to put the risk in your draft? And that's kind of like where the genesis of the zero RB was. You don't want to put the risk with the running backs. You want to put the risk further down the line. And so, so everybody the news is out. Zero RBs, like the optimal.
Yeah.
So that's very astute.
Have you played Guillotine Leagues?
No, but you guys got to go check out that episode of the game plan after the mock draft live, obviously. But no, but I hear that it's just, if you're not familiar, 18 weeks or 17 weeks, however you play, 17 players, and then the person that finishes last for the week, it's chopped out, and then all their players go to the waiver wire. So that's what a Guillotine League is. But I have not, but I'm very intrigued by the idea.
It's really fun. It's a really fun format to play. I played the past couple of years. I do some work over there too, so that's kind of one of the reasons I played. But gotcha. Yeah, it's so much fun. Like, it's just you get the guy who just spends like $500 the very first week, and then he's out like 3 weeks later because he's got no money left. But so it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Cool. So I was going to ask you about this, and we were talking about week 14 through 17, and we were talking about week 17. So which games do you like the most as far as correlation? Like, which are you trying to get like some of everyone because you're because you're a volume player?
A sicko?
Or like which ones do you look at and you go, oh yeah, like if I can get that kind of correlation, that's what I'm into.
There's a couple. I really like Baltimore Miami play. I like that one. That feels like that game last year. That was like the Miami was down like 3 touchdowns. There was both sides. That was a very high scoring game last year. Okay, we got on the clock here pretty soon. Do you like elite tight end, or you want to go double? I would say probably tight end or receiver feels good since we got the 2 studs running backs. I feel like we don't need to go there right now. Do you like tight end or receiver? Anyone in this range?
I like Pittman. I don't know how you feel about Pittman.
I've been different on him, honestly.
Okay, I do. It's a little risky. I mean, if you think about his ADP last year, he was going in the 3rd round, so he's slid down the ADP ranks a little bit, and because everybody thought Matt Ryan was gonna come in there, and obviously that didn't work out. But I think Anthony Richardson really opens up this offense, and there's I think a lot higher ceiling on a guy like Michael Pittman than people think. And so getting him here in the 5th round, I think, is really good value. I'm very intrigued by Brandon Ayuk too.
I love Ayuk this year.
Yeah, I like if the choice between like putting or drafting Debo where you're getting Debo and we're drafting Ayuk where you're getting Ayuk. I mean, I wrote up Ayuk for the draft kit, and he got a lot more volume than people think. I think he had 113 targets. He was getting the kind of targets we want. His air yards per target was really high. And yeah, go check out his player page on playerprofiler.com and look at his stats from last year. Very impressive. And I know the quarterback situation there is, who knows? It might be Sam Darnold. I'm guessing it's probably going to be Trey Lance to start. And so that's probably not ideal. But I think eventually Brock Purdy, if he's healthy, is probably going to be the guy, unless Trey Lance is just unbelievable. But it doesn't really matter to me. I think Ayuk's just a really good player, and he's going to command that kind of volume. And where he's getting drafted, I think a lot of people think, oh, like there's not a lot of volume in that offense. And last year proved that there was. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, I think Ayuk's a smash pick. I got Godwin here chilling. We got a lot of receivers, kind of pick of the litter here. Don't really need Trevor Lawrence. Kind of his like elite stacking partners feel gone.
How do you feel about all these wide receivers here? Is there a name that we have Ayuk in the queue?
Yeah, I like Addison.
Rank it? I do too. I
like Addison just because now Ayuk goes. So I like Addison just because the passing volume that Minnesota probably is going to have this year, especially with Dalvin gone. Like Madison, he seems okay. Like he's a good back. I know he's been. Oh, see, then Addison goes. All right, we can take Godwin 9 picks last ADP. Get a bit of a value on him. I feel like honestly, I'd much rather have Godwin than Evans or really anyone in this tier.
I like Godwin. I think Godwin's a smash right here.
Yeah.
Godwin's a really good receiver. I mean, last year, 142 targets. I know it's Tom Brady, but I think we can both agree that Tom Brady was not playing great football last year.
Definitely wasn't.
So, and I know there's videos of Baker Mayfield airmailing, receivers in shorts in training camp. But this is the kind of thing that honestly I look to do in these kinds of leagues is, kind of where's the value going to be, And right now it really seems like Chris Godwin, a receiver who the last 2 seasons has seen 128 targets and 142 targets. I mean, the touchdowns haven't been there, but he's been a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 15 in fantasy points per game last year. I mean, probably if you ask just random fantasy gamer X, hey, how do you think Chris Godwin finished? They'd probably say, 20th or something. Like, I kind of think the perception doesn't match reality here.
Yeah, I had on Twitter last year. I was dipping my toes in the thread game, posting threads about different players throughout the summer. I did it like every single day until the season started. And one of my threads was about Chris Godwin and how I thought he was a smash pick at his ADP because the injury. So you're getting him as I think wide receiver 30 something last year, preseason. And I had a thing about, I was like, if it was like my most confident take of the offseason. I said, whoever likes this tweet, if Chris Godwin does not finish as a wide receiver 2, I'll buy you a jersey. Like I'll do a spinner, we'll do a giveaway. I'll buy somebody a jersey. He does not finish as wide receiver 2. And some guy like mid-season, quote tweeted that whole thread that was 3 months earlier and posted a screenshot of his he replied it's not looking good for Godwin, still hoping to get that jersey. And then at the end of the season, I think he was wide receiver 16, 17 or whatever he ended up finishing as. And I took a screenshot of it, the Fantasy Pros, just his finish it. I just replied to him. I said, sorry, better luck next year.
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, in those weeks, definitely towards the back half of the season, Godwin, in the weeks that we wanted him to be good in tournaments like this, like week 15, wide receiver 7, finish in fantasy points per game. Week 17, wide receiver 6. And then in that week 16, he was still a wide receiver 2. He finished number 24. Averaged, I mean, I'm doing the math here off the top of my head, but that's probably in those 3 weeks, 16, 17 fantasy points per game, give or take.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
All right. Who do you like here?
Oh man. How do you feel about these wide receivers that are
I like
at the
Davis
top?
only because it's best ball, and we have Diggs, so it would be a nice team stack. Plus, we have Rhamondre. It's Buffalo, New England. Oh, never mind. We got Cooks. I don't mind Johnston, honestly. Like, I think he could be a factor. I like Waller because we don't have a tight end. We could get we could go New York Giants team stack and hopefully get Daniel Jones on the way back around, maybe. Because we already have Saquon.
I'm cool. You go ahead and choose Waller or Johnston. I'm cool with either one.
Yeah, let's go Waller, honestly. I don't really have that much Waller. I don't know. I just kind of like the top tight ends. So go with Darren Waller.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, maybe see if we can get Daniel Jones on the way back around. And then have just the ultimate Giants. That's what I like about the Giants team is they're so easy to stack. Because if you take Saquon, or even if you don't take Saquon, like say you take just Daniel Jones, like that's the first Giant you draft, you can get every single one of his like receivers after that. So it makes it easy if you don't have any like built out team stacks to get just some correlation on your squad.
Oh yeah. That's one of the things, and I love Daniel Jones too. A lot of people don't know he was the quarterback 8 on the season last year or something like that. I mean, and he's mobile, and I think the perception of Daniel Jones too isn't where it should be, and I just love taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I think this offense is going to be better than it was last year as well. Just because, they add Waller, they add who else they add? They had somebody else.
Paris Campbell, I think.
Campbell,
not that that's a huge name, but
but
they added some other receivers. Oh yeah,
Hodgins was great at the end of the year last year too. Like that wild card game, he was great.
And Hodgins could be, if we get Daniel Jones, Hodgins could be an easy throw him in the mix there.
Exactly.
For sure.
All right.
Talk about week 17 correlation too.
They play
it's probably
Carolina.
The Rams in week 17.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Rams. Carolina plays Jacksonville. That's my bad.
That's not bad. That's the Rams defense is not going to be good.
Oh,
no. They'll be able to score points with Cooper Kupp and Stafford. Probably that might be a nice little shootout.
All right. Do we like anyone here? I'm down to go kind of any position other than tight end, I think.
Gotcha. I'm cool with both of those running backs. I like Rachaad White and David Montgomery a lot this year.
I like Rachaad. I think he has higher. And he's a team stack with Godwin anyway. So that's great.
Yeah, let's do that's. I like this draft. I know everybody says it, but I do really like this draft we're putting together. I feel like we're doing a lot of good things, a lot of good fundamental best ball practices. We're shooting for some upside with a lot of these players. So what do you think? You feeling pretty good so far?
I like it, honestly. I feel like we got a good week 17 kind of stack right now. We with Rhamondre, Diggs, and then just those two. And then I'm trying to look and see who else we got here. Tampa Bay.
And that could be, I know everybody thinks, the Patriots defense, they've been kind of so defensively, and we all know Buffalo can put up points. So that could be, I know it's going to be outdoors and the weather might not be great, but that doesn't always matter. So I feel like getting some of those correlative stacks in week 17 that other people aren't really focused in on can be an advantage, because you just never know,
Yeah, I'm with you. Just trying to see. Let's see who else is. I think honestly, there's a world where I think Richardson falls too, to stack him with Pittman too. I've seen him fall. Like, it was kind of right after the draft. He was like up in at least for Best Ball Mania and like some of those early puppies. Richardson was like all the way up in like the 80s. Like that's where his ADP was, and now it's kind of falling back down to like the lower 90s. And it just feels like this might be where he settles. I've seen him fall into in the hundreds a couple times. So he's definitely a guy you can get past ADP. He's kind of like, just, there was so much hype after. I think the hype's only going to continue to build too. Like, he's already taken half the first team reps, and it's just, as soon as we see this guy in the field, everyone's going to be like, this is like Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson just mixed into one. And then you're going to get him like, he's going to be going like the 70s before you know it. So
yeah, he's phenomenal. Like, we were at the draft, and just when he walked into the media room, it's just like, holy shit, who, like, this guy is not like any of these other guys. Bryce Young walked in first. It's like, he's my height, like, whatever. But yeah, he's so much. I mean, if you're an NFL team, I know this is not on the topic of Underdog, but I don't understand sometimes, like, how do you not take the guy with the biggest upside in Anthony Richardson at with the first pick? I know it's crazy the completion percentage wasn't there in college, but I talked about this on a lot of our other mock draft live shows when we were doing rookie drafts. When you watch him on film, it's, I don't know, like, to me, there's a special element to his game. The completion percentage, I think he's thrown a lot of balls away. He was kind of, I mean, we all know Florida was kind of a hot mess.
Yeah.
So I really think that Anthony Richardson's I mean, he's probably not gonna be where he wants to be right away. He's gonna have to take some time to develop, but you talk about upside, man. Like, holy shit! Like,
we're 3
he's
picks
huge
away
and
from
he can
him
run.
right now.
Like,
so
yeah.
I'm kind of on the edge of my seat here because this would be just a great.
That would be a smash. That would be a smash, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's check out if he doesn't. Okay, this guy. I'm looking at the guy before us. Does he have any Indianapolis? Any Indianapolis guys or Las Vegas guys? He doesn't. If he takes him, it'll be unstacked. But you can do it with Richardson because he's kind of just like, you don't need a stacking partners for him to go off. He can go off by himself, kind of thing. But if he doesn't take him, I feel like this is a smash pick. Let's freaking go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's right.
There we go.
Subscribe.
I like it. Like and subscribe for drafts like this. You can't find this anywhere else.
104. That was how many picks? Okay, so that was like 11 picks after ADP.
Love to see it. Anytime you can get Richardson in the hundreds, I think you got to do it, especially when you have him stacked with Pittman. So
now, because we took Richardson, I'm interested to see how we're going to manage this, because Richardson, obviously high upside. I mean, could bottom out. It's definitely possible. What kind of quarterback do you pair him with? Do you pair him with somebody safe?
Man, I'll pair him with anybody I can. Honestly, I'll pair him with anybody who I have on my roster, just because, like, we're just I mean, in contests like these, you don't really care about anything other than upside, it feels like, So if you get like Daniel Jones here, still a great pick, just because, I mean, we already talked about the Giants team stacks. And honestly, like, this range of receivers is so disgusting for me. Like Lazard, Beckham, Boyd, like, none of those guys really interest me unless I have a Rodgers, Lamar, or Burrow. So it's just one of those things where, like, it feels like it feels like we're good at running back. Like, we can even do running backs literally as our last 2 picks, or like really late end of the draft. I feel like the only position we're really weak at right now, or like not as kind of poured out draft capital into, feels just like quarterback and tight end. Like, I feel good about this group of receivers. It's a solid 4. So I don't know. What are you thinking here?
I'd be down with Daniel Jones because I hate all those receivers. Like you said, I wrote up Tyler Boyd I know I keep plugging the draft kit, but I wrote up Tyler Boyd for the draft kit. It's like they gave me all the boring players that they just needed done,
Yeah.
And Tyler Boyd, you look at his efficiency, like, year after year after year, his targets keep going down and down and down. Like 110 in 2020, 94 in 21, 83 last year. And that's not because he's not playing. He played in all 17 games. He's just not getting the opportunities because, he's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in front of him. And he's not as good of a player as he once was. And now the team brings in Charlie Jones. And I know, 4th round wide receiver, you can kind of scoff at that, but that's more competition for him. And that at that ADP, I want no part of it, to be honest.
I'm with you.
So I think Daniel Jones is a smash here if we can get him, because I don't really want much to do with Beckham either, or Lazard.
How do you like Harris this year? Damien Harris.
Oh, Damian Harris. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In Buffalo.
Yeah. He's right here. Sorry.
Yeah. And I kind of like Jacoby Myers too over all those other receivers.
So do
as
I.
an option. Yeah. He's a good player, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity in that offense. I know it's kind of weird right now with Jimmy Garoppolo's whatever foot thing. who knows? But even if they throw Aiden O'Connell, I mean, I don't really think it affects Jacoby Myers much because he's going to get those safe targets over the field that, any quarterback can complete. So, yeah, I think Daniel Jones. We going Daniel Jones?
Yep. Let's do it. Now the question is, do we take another quarterback or do we just sit with these two? That's what it kind of comes down to.
Well, what do you think is optimal? Like, what do you think build is optimal, or does it just depend on what you get?
I think it depends, just kind of like what you get, like you said. I mean, I know I like to kind of go by the just like the advice of draft like you're right. So if we're drafting like we're right and we're saying that Richardson and Jones are both smash picks right now, then I feel like we should be good. But then you dive into like some like the numbers, like the week 17 numbers, just like the roster construction numbers, and 3 quarterback, like it's kind of a battle between like the 2 quarterback people and the 3 quarterback people. Like there's kind of some debate on what's the better build. So I've been mixing both of them in, but I feel like I feel like 2 guys before round 10 kind of thing feels like we're set, just because if we're drafting like we're right and we think these guys are going to be who we drafted them to be, then I feel like we can kind of just chill, unless there's like some screaming value and he correlates somehow. Then I feel like we can kind of veer off that. But I'm set with 2 quarterbacks. So
cool. And are you 2 tight end or 3 tight end guy?
I'm 2. If it's like I've been kind of playing with that recently, but I was always 2 tight ends before. If I get one of the top 6 guys, I'm usually just 2. If it like the cutoff for me is Goddard, but then Waller's like tight end 7, so it can kind of depend.
Yeah.
But if I draft anyone kind of after 6, I'm usually going 3.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think doing what we did with our tight ends, you can go in either direction for sure. But what I prefer to do is, honestly, if I can, it doesn't always work out, is like you said, get one of the elite guys, preferably Kelsey. If I can, I have no problem taking Kelsey in the first round. And then if you don't get that, like just hit like 3 of Freiermuth, Gesicki, or like, like something disgusting like that, like just hoping to hit on something, like Gesicki. I mean, I don't know. I've always been a big Gesicki fan, and there should be some opportunity for him there in New England. But yeah, you're kind of swinging for the fences, hoping to get like a random tight end 5 or tight end 4 season out of some super athletic dude, like one of those guys.
There's like a cult of like 4 tight end people coming out, and like over like the past couple weeks, I've seen like screenshots of like just like 4 like, and guys who are like kind of in the scene and like are crunching the data, like I forget his name just slipped my mind, but I saw he's a very well respected basketball guy, and he had like post a screenshot 4 tight ends. It's just like, I kind of like how this turned out. So I don't know. I'm not really at the 4 tight end, like kind of, I don't think that just doesn't seem right to me. Like, unless maybe like you just draft 4 at the very end, but that feels disgusting. Those are all terrible clicks. I don't get any gratification clicking on any of those names at the end. But there are some guys like this range where we got Chig Okonkwo. I like him. I don't really like Dalton Schultz as much, but like after that, like you can still get Dulcich late. Higbee feels fine late. Like there's some guys I think can provide some value as like a solid tight end too. So
yeah, I one of my favorite players, and I'm trying to get him in Dynasty wherever I can, is Chig Okonkwo, just because he had one of the most efficient rookie seasons. I mean, I know that the sample size might not have been great in that Tennessee offense, but he's a good athlete. He's in an offense where there's going to be a lot of target volume. It's basically him and Treylon Burks, and they might have a quarterback upgrade if they decide to move on from Ryan Tannehill. I don't know. Like, we don't know what Will Levis is. I mean, he could be. I mean, we know he's a big guy and he's athletic. So anyway, we're on the clock.
Yeah.
You think McKinnon? I like McKinnon.
I don't mind him at all. I think he's like, if he just upside, like just game winning weeks kind of thing.
Oh,
and then you like McKinnon? I'm down to go with it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, because McKinnon single-handedly won me not single-handedly, but he finished like back-to-back RB1 weeks in the fantasy playoffs. God. And he was somebody I just picked up off the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Like catching passes from Mahomes, like he's throwing over his shoulder, everybody remembers that. It's wild, like how he doesn't, like a player like McKinnon really doesn't need to be on the field that much to have a boom week. Like I know a lot of people reference like the snap share, but I really could see them moving on from Clyde too. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, but I think there's going to be enough opportunity for him to have some of those weeks, and that's really all we need him to have. So I love it.
I'm with you. I think like the third down role in Kansas City might be the most, like the best third down role almost anywhere. It feels like just specific third down back when it's in Kansas City, like, and it's like he's just always on the field, and it just seems like when you're watching the game, they're always passing almost. I don't know why. It just feels like they're always passing, and when they're passing, McKinnon is on the field, and when he gets the ball in his hands, he's a great athlete, and he can just do different things that like something like Pacheco can't do. And I mean, Edwards-Helaire, that's what they want him to be, but he's definitely not that anymore. He's like, what do you even do with Helaire? I don't even know anymore. I remember like that summer, like they pick him in the first round, and it's like, is Clyde Edwards-Helaire a first round pick in redraft? And he I think he was like a back end first round or like second round running back, and just everyone got burned bad.
No, and we can talk about this after the pick because we got a pick coming up. Who do you like here out of all these options?
Don't mind Dobbs. I don't mind Thielen only because I
was gonna say Thielen.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's like as washed as he looked last year. Like if he could just be like a target hog on Carolina for Bryce Young, like Bryce Young it just feels like it could be something.
Yeah. No, who else is there? It's like Terrace Marshall and DJ Chark and Hayden Hurst. I mean, why not Adam Thielen? I think he's going to get all the volume that he wants to handle. Like you see it there, over 100 targets last year, which is why we like Jordan Addison so much. Jordan Addison's going to see a lot of that target share on a on a defense rather in Minnesota that's not going to be very good. They're going to be constantly throwing and coming from behind and trying to keep up. Yeah. So in Carolina, that NFC South division, a lot of people's like, oh, they're going to run the ball. It's like, you look at some of the defenses there, they weren't the greatest defenses. Now, I don't know off the top of my head what their schedules were like last year, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I could see there being a few shootouts there in those divisions. It just kind of depends, but we just never know. So Thielen here is just fine, man. I like it a lot because he's going to have a lot of opportunity, and we have upside guys on our roster anyway. We could use a nice, safe, get us 10 to 12 fantasy points per game kind of guy.
Yeah, it also gives us an out too. Maybe like Bryce Young just falls like 20 picks past ADP, and it's like, oh, we could just. I mean, we got the correlation. Why not just take advantage of someone falling like that? So,
yeah,
kind of like that too. Is that a Bears flag behind you?
It is. Yeah, I'm a huge Bears fan. Oh yeah. Nice. So, yeah, we I try to make my show, the Writers Roundtable, which is on this channel Wednesdays 7 p.m. Shameless plug. I try to make it a Bears show just about every week. So I try to Shanghai Matt Babich into talking about like David Montgomery. I bait him into debates about Bears players that I like. And I don't know if Matt Babich hates me for it yet, but I don't know if the audience likes it, but it's fun for me. So
yeah, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's you know who the Bears play week 17, right?
Is it the Packers or is it one of those the Falcons? That's right. That's right. That could be a good correlation.
That's a great like Roschon Johnson, Bijan like week 17 game stack. I think they were both top 3 in rushing attempts last year. So that's just a great like. I don't think it'll be the case this year, but how are you feeling about Fields? I love to hear from a Bears fan how like what the overall climate is on Justin Fields. I will appease your Bears fandom, and I'm giving the green light to just spew your propaganda.
Yes, that's the perfect word for it, is propaganda and lunacy and madness. But yeah, Fields, I think he has the potential to take a Jalen Hurts like step forward with DJ Moore. The Bears did a lot to improve their offensive line, so there's no more excuses for him. That's for sure. I mean, he has some work to do this offseason with his accuracy, his short accuracy mainly. I think he's always been a pretty good deep ball thrower, but I think last year was such a chaotic year for the Bears that he was running for his life at times, and then you saw that translate into just a ton of rushing yards and great fantasy weeks for us. So I think he's honestly, I think he's a great value where he's going, and I think he's got the potential to be the quarterback one in fantasy.
All right, and the clock here real quick.
Okay. You want do you want to get your guy Allgeier? Do you want to go like MVS, or what do you think?
I love Allgeier. I haven't checked my what's it called? Exposures to players in a while, but he's got to be up there because it just feels like every time. And like we look at it, so we're drafting him right now. He's gonna be. I think we're set at running back. We don't need any more running backs, but like he's our running back 5. Like I feel like that even if anything happens to Bijan, like it just feels like a smash pick just because he's going to be the RB1, and we saw what he was toward the end of the year when he was the main guy getting the carries. So it just feels even if you say, okay, Bijan's going to still have 60-70% of the carries, like if anything happens to him, I think he's a what other handcuffs would you rather have than Allgeier? I mean, there might be a couple, but there's not a lot of them.
Yeah. I think potentially the Giants having the Giants handcuff wouldn't be terrible, with Barkley and his situation, his contract. There's a lot of, but you're right though. I think he's one of the more valuable handcuffs just because he's proven that he can handle the opportunity that he would get, in that offense. So I love it. Like I think whenever people are down on a player, whenever there's general consensus, like, oh, like they're bringing in Bijan, this means zero opportunity for Allgeier. You need to be on the other side of that coin because that's where the value is. I know it can feel disgusting at times, but I feel like those are the right plays to make in tournaments like this, is just trying to seek out the value. And I think there's a lot of value taking Allgeier. Where did we get him? What pick was
154 or 152? He's ADP
152. So right in line with his ADP. So
yeah, I love Higbee right here if we can get him, just because then we'd have the Giants week 17 game stacked, and it's both our tight ends are game stacked too. Kind of a fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Me and Jason last week we had Kelsey and then Irv Smith game stacked 2 tight ends, so I say we continue it right now.
Let's do it. You're not going to get any disagreement from me.
There we go.
So
there we go. I'm liking this is like, sometimes I just draft a team and I'm like, God, this team just sucks. I hate this team. It's like, but I genuinely do like this. I feel like this is just like kind of like an average draft. Like you kind of hit on all the things you want. You got both your quarterbacks and their weapons. You got some nice week 17 game stack, but it's just kind of like the blueprint for what best ball is now. Like it's just, you're just trying to finish top 500 in like a 200,000, 600,000 field of people who, like, if you're not doing these things, it just feels like you have no chance. So like I was brand new to best ball last year. I had no idea. I was like, oh, I love fantasy football. I'm going to be great at this, but it's just such a different, there's some intricacies that you just have to pay attention to. And if you don't do it, like, I think I advanced, like, I don't know. I think I only drafted like 30 teams, but I advanced like 8 of them. And I was like, oh my God, I got 8 teams advanced. It's easy, but I didn't make a single one out because I didn't pay attention to the team stacking and the quarterbacks. I didn't do any of like the game stacking. It just feels like it's just something you have to do to be successful. All the guys who have won all the money, that's what they're doing. So I'm going to just fall in line like a sheep and do the same thing they're doing.
Yeah, no, that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that best ball is different from a single redraft league, is different than, the guillotine leagues that we were talking about. I mean, each fantasy, even dynasty, I've had friends of mine that played dynasty for the first time and they're just used to redraft and they're like, what is going on? I don't understand what is happening. Like, how are players like Austin Eckler falling down the draft board? They don't. It's completely different strategy. That's why. And that's the same thing here in best ball. It's completely different. Yeah, it's a completely different approach. You have to be thinking about these correlations and what matchups could potentially hit, because you have to think about that. Like, you have to assume, if I get here, I want to win. And so what's the best way to do that? It's impossible. It's so hard to predict what's going to happen throughout the regular season, but you can kind of focus in on the weeks that really matter and do your best to put yourself in the best possible position. That's really all you can do. And like you said, it's like, if you're not doing that, then you're automatically at a disadvantage. So you need to be doing that.
If you look at the BBM4 payout structure, all the money is in the finals. Literally all of it. And not only that, first place of BBM4 gets $3 million. Do you know what 10th place gets?
No, not offhand.
$30,000. Like, the disparity between first and 10th is insane. Like, I would be kicking myself if I got 10th. Like, 30,000 is great, but you get top 10 and like the first place gets $3 million. That's such a huge like discrepancy, and like you need every edge that you could possibly get when you're talking about at least the finals. So, all right, who do we like here? We got some tight ends. I don't mind Taysom Hill, honestly, if we just want to get our third tight end and then leave it be.
Gotcha.
Do you like anybody here? I'm honestly down to go wherever.
Could you scroll down a little bit? What do you think of Hodgins? What do you like, Hodgins?
Oh yeah, I love Hodgins. I think we might be able to get we're 6 pick. Nah, let's just do it. I don't really care. Like I said, I'd rather get him now than not get him at all.
Yeah.
Let's do it. How many Giants we got? We got
4.
Who's our first receiver? Yeah, 4. That's fine. Yeah, that's great.
So we got a lot of Giants. What was the team they play in week 17?
The Rams. So we got Higbee.
Rams. And we got Higbee. So there's some good core. Yeah, we got, that could be, I feel like that could be a competitive game in week 17. I mean, depending on where the Rams are, I don't know. The Rams could be one of these teams that are in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Do they have their first pick next year?
I think so. I could be. I'm sure somebody in the chat. I'm sure somebody in the chat will clap back at me if I'm wrong about that. But I'm fairly confident they finally have their first round pick. That's a good point, because I think the last first round pick they made was Jared Goff. I'm pretty sure.
Is that actually true? That was their last first round pick.
I think so. Hold on.
Because they traded up to get him, and they I think they traded with who they trade with again to get. Because I remember that was the year the Eagles traded up to 2 with the Browns, I think, and then the Rams traded up, but I don't remember who they traded with, like Miami or something, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's a good question. Somebody in the chat, let us know. I can't remember offhand. I think that was the 2016 NFL draft.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
All right, I'll look it up real quick while where are we at? 1 pick away. Okay, we'll make this pick. We'll let everyone know the trade details on the Jared Goff deal here in a minute.
Yeah. I say if Taysom's here, assuming this guy doesn't take him, we roll with it. Gives us our third tight end, gives us a high like spike week type of guy, and he's game stacked with Chris Godwin. So you never know. Maybe Godwin gets 3 touchdowns and then Taysom Hill runs in 2. Who knows? Oh, never mind. He's gone.
Okay, what are some of let's see what else we got.
We got Renfro. It's Las Vegas, Indianapolis. If we wanted to do that, week 17. Mechie.
Do you like Mechie this year at all?
I'm indifferent on him. I just don't know. Like, I have no idea what he could do. I'm down to go Claypool, honestly, just because it's such a disgusting pick. But like,
all right,
let's do it. Let's go Claypool. I don't have a lot of Claypool.
I could give it. I mean,
give me Claypool. Make me feel better about the Claypool pick we just made right here.
Well, Claypool, I think with the addition of DJ Moore, I think it's going to help. My favorite player to get, or my favorite players to get on the Chicago offense, and they're so easy to get, are Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet if you're going to stack with Justin Fields. And I think it helps out Claypool because it puts him in his natural position of the slot, and now he slides down the depth chart and the heat's off of him, just like the heat's off of Mooney. They don't have to go up against the top cornerback anymore. And he's a big freaking dude. He's athletic, and he might not be able to run routes, crisply. He might not be able to get open on a consistent basis, but that playing against the NFC North teams like the Vikings and the Lions, teams that don't have the greatest defenses, we don't need him to score like 20 points every week or 15 points every week. We just need him to have a couple spike weeks, and I think that's more than possible.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. Yeah, Claypool seems fine to me. Is that the worst decision the Bears GM has made so far, was to trade the 32nd pick for Claypool? I like their offseason overall. I just feel like there's that one part where it's like, I can't believe this guy's the 32nd pick in the draft. Because if you did a redraft, where would he go now? Like round 3, 4?
Oh yeah. That overall, I'm really happy with Ryan Poles, but that's definitely, if he had that one to do all over again, I bet he would want that one back for sure.
Oh, for sure.
But at the time, you thought, well, there's no real options in free agency at wide receiver. It's a huge gamble, but he does have size, speed, athleticism. I get the process, and they were trying to keep him away. Rumor had it they were trying to keep him away from the Packers, which I think is kind of kind of silly to factor that in. Just, I don't know, like, don't overpay. Just, as a general principle, you probably shouldn't overpay for players like they overpaid for Claypool. But, like you said, it's a mistake, because they would be just fine without him. It wouldn't matter hardly at all. Yes. Okay. So back to, let's see. Let's figure out this Jared Goff thing. Let's see. When was Jared Goff drafted here? 2016. Drafted in 2016 by the Rams. So that's part of what we need to know. People are peeking behind the curtain here. We are a professional institution here at Player Profiler. All right. Okay. Who are you looking at for this next pick?
We got 2 picks left, so I think we got to go. I think 1 tight end for sure. I think we just need 3. And then after that, it's up between. I think we're good at running back. I feel good. Like, we got a good amount of guys there. I think we're good there. So it's 2 picks between quarterback, receiver, and tight end. And if we wanted to go quarterback, obviously we probably want to have it stacked with somebody, so we could go like Baker or Trask, but that feels disgusting. We could also, the only other option would probably be Ritter with Allgeier.
Gotcha.
So other than that, though, I don't know. I'm trying to look. I do have one sleeper wide receiver that I think he's got to be, with Allgeier, one of my most drafted players. He's a last round guy, and I just love Tank Dell. I think I'm in on the Tank Dell hype. I don't know why. I think he, like, the only thing bad about him is his size. I think that's the only kind of the question mark everyone has, which is fair, but he's a slot. He's not gonna be playing outside like he was in college. But all right, we're on the clock here. We got Hurst sitting here with we got a Carolina came in. Maybe just this Carolina offense is really good. Hurst and Thielen go nuclear. We could do that. We could go like Robert Woods. You down with Hurst?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. To get our 3rd tight end. And then so we have one more pick. By the way, it was the Titans. I found it out.
That's right.
They traded with the Titans to get up. And ever since then, they traded for Jalen Ramsey. And then ever since then, it's been he's got the less
and Von Miller too.
And Von Miller. I think Von Miller. Oh, was that first round? I think that was the second.
It might have been a second, you're right.
But they've had the F them picks philosophy, and hey man, it won them a Super Bowl. So
exactly, I think if you win a Super Bowl, I think you can say it paid out, because if you can just win one, like, that's all that kind of matters for I feel like the franchise. You win one, and then like you say, okay, these next couple years might be rough, but we won a Super Bowl. You can always hang your hat on that. But if they didn't, like, then it turns into a problem. It's very, NFL's very like outcome driven, like what actually happened. Like, because if they don't win, everyone's probably gone. So
yep. Oh yeah, no, that's why teams like the Raiders are doing Raider things, right? Because they have a
Yeah.
coach and a GM that need to win football games, so they're not necessarily doing what's best for the long term, which is probably let's trade some assets, let's get some picks. Nope, they're signing Jimmy Garoppolo. They're drafting an edge rusher, even though they have edge rushers. The Raiders are weird. I don't quite understand the Raiders, but you're absolutely right. Teams are results driven and a lot of times too focused on the here and now. But we have one more pick to make. What direction? Is there any? Do you just want to go get? Is Tank Dell still
I don't
available,
even
or did he
see
get
him.
drafted?
I think someone took him. Wait.
Okay. Yeah, he must have got drafted.
Or is it?
That would be a good last pick. Who's like a guy that you keep taking with your last pick in these drafts?
I like Ritter. I like
Ritter.
Joshua Palmer. Also, just seems like I think he's gonna. I feel like he was good last year. He was pretty like a decent option for Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything happens to any three of those receivers, like he's a smash pick in the last round of your draft.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Josh Palmer. I mean,
And we have Jeudy game stack with Denver. So always.
All right, perfect.
I'm down.
Always about correlation.
Yep, always about correlation.
Cool. Let's do it. Some other interesting names. Like I heard Memphis talking on the Dynasty, or I think it was actually Mind of Mansion. He was talking about how Michael Carter's a really good handcuff. I mean, because just based on Aaron Rodgers, who Aaron Rodgers is, like Israel Banacana doesn't pass protect. Do you really think Aaron Rodgers is going to want a rookie running back in there? Same goes with Zonovan Knight. So having a guy
there's some other really good. Sorry to cut you off. That's my bad. There's some other really good running backs in the last round to handcuffs, like Joshua Kelly, great handcuff right now for the Chargers. And then even Keontae Ingram down here is another great. Just feels like a great handcuff because if anything happens to James Conner, and Keontae Ingram might have a third down role regardless because he's a good pass catcher. So there's a lot of good handcuffs you can get in literally the last pick. Like some of these guys about to go undrafted, like Ty Chandler, if when Dalvin eventually moves on, or like Dwayne McBride down here too. Yeah. And even like Eric Ray, who's like the number 2 for in New York. It seems like seemingly the handcuff there as well. So it's like you can get a lot of good handcuffs. I just like taking my shots on different guys if I need a running back in the last round. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I absolutely love Kelly, the running back for the Chargers, because it's Eckler, and Eckler said that he doesn't want a full workload. He wants to preserve himself for to keep himself healthy. And the only 2 running backs there are Spiller and Kelly. And if you look at the profile, Kelly's just way more athletic than Spiller. So that just makes a ton of sense as your last pick in the 18th round. I mean, if anything happens to Eckler, you would think it's probably going to be a split between those two, but typically the better athlete wins out in the end. So I think Kelly is, I'm probably like thinking of people I'm going to have a good exposure to. It's going to be Keontae Ingram. It's going to be Joshua Kelly. It's going to be people like the receiver we just took, Palmer, like good offense, good correlation in a game that could shoot out in week 17. There's just so many checks, like check. What you can't really do much better. It's 18th round. Just take a shot on somebody like that,
Yeah. And the last thing about Kelly, we saw what Justin Jackson did 2 years ago. Fantasy play. I think it was week 16. Is he went off against, I think it was Houston, maybe Tennessee.
Was something.
It was an AFC South team, I remember. I think it was an AFC South team, but just went absolutely ballistic. And he won a lot of people. I think I saw they were talking about it on a live. I can't remember whose live stream it was, but they said that year Justin Jackson had the highest advance rate from the final to get to the finals that year. And he was a guy that was going like 3% drafted in underdog leagues. So I thought that was crazy, but I feel like recap the team real quick. We got Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, 2 QB build. We got Saquon, Rhamondre, Rachaad White, Jerick McKinnon, Tyler Allgeier, and then receivers Diggs, Jeudy, Pittman, Godwin, Thielen, Hodgins, Claypool, Palmer, and then we got Waller, Higbee, and Hurst to round out the team. A lot of good stacks, a lot of good I feel like this is a smash draft, just very chalky in terms of like what everyone else is doing, but you got to do what everyone else is doing, as we explained earlier. So,
yeah, I think hopefully the audience got some good fundamental tips. We're going to be doing these drafts. We're going to be doing all kinds of different drafts here on Mock Draft Live, a lot of underdog stuff. Maybe we'll dabble into an FFPC draft. Tyler's going to be on here a lot. I'm going to be on here a lot. Maddie Kiwoom's going to be on here a lot. So stay tuned, stay tapped in. Tyler, where can the people find you? Like, plug all the stuff you got to plug.
Gotcha. I'm on Twitter at PPR Tyler. Last name's too hard to spell / pronounce, so I just changed it to at PPR Tyler. I might have to change it to Tyler Football.
Football. Yeah, Tyler Football.
Well, that's probably taken. That feels like it's going to be taken, but maybe I'll have to change it to that. Maybe I'll, after I win some money, maybe I feel like I'll be earned that nickname. But Twitter's kind of the only place. Yeah, just pretty much just Twitter. I'm pretty active. It's either fantasy football or town baseball content. So
town baseball. What?
Yeah, town baseball, town ball baseball. So I'm a super fan actually for this team right here, the Loretto Larks. Oh. I just made the news the other day. The news came and interviewed just doing about the team, and they beeline straight for me. They're like, "We hear you're the number one fan," and I was like, "Yes, I am." And
is that like a minor league team or
no? It's just town ball. It's just like guys.
Oh my
God! It's like anywhere from like 16-year-olds to 40-year-olds. It's literally it's guys who have been playing for the same thing for 25 years, or it's people who have been playing for like 5 years, or just it's like a lot. It's a league that a lot of the like kids who play like D2 college, or even like there's a couple D1 players who just that's where they play in the summer, and then they go back to college and then they play there. So,
oh, that's fascinating. Man.
Great.
That's cool. I love like that. That's really cool. So yeah, go follow him, Tyler Football, on Twitter. He's going to be changing his handle soon, so be on the lookout for that. You can follow me on Twitter at Seth_DIEWOLD. Some people say Diewald, some people say Dieworld, but it's Dewald, and maybe it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. People are going to mispronounce it. So, but thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video. And we will catch you next time on Mock Draft Live. Be good, everybody, and have a great night.
Hey, you like that video? Be sure to subscribe and activate those alerts so you get notified as soon as new videos drop. And be sure to check out playerprofiler.com. We have all the tools for you to dominate every type of fantasy league. We have a draft kit, Dynasty Deluxe, data analysis, DFS Dominator, and don't forget the player rankings to rule them all.